Westfall, that you want to retain an attorney. Is that correct?
Yes.
Obviously, the timing is very critical. We need to make a decision on the enrollment of this child in school. Mr. Cladd is requesting Manor Public Schools, and you're opposed to that?
I am aware that we're in like a time sensitive nature on this. I was not aware that there was an issue with schooling up until I got the papers in the mail. I have verbal consent from Mr. Cladd to homeschool this year, so I don't even know how we got here.
Mr. Kazmarek, has the minor child been enrolled in Manor Public Schools?
He has, and again, I know that Tom was kind of upset, I think, about a IEP that the school did, saying that he no longer needed the program.
The court's aware. The court's read all the pleadings. The court's all aware of all that.
So
I'm just asking if he's been enrolled.
The child has been enrolled at Manor previously, but my client is fine with some kind of faith-based program as well, like St. Mary's or St. John's, and potentially willing to fund most of that as well. So
he just wants them in person in school as opposed to homeschooled. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And Miss Westfall, you're opposed to DJ going in person to school?
Correct. And DJ does not want to be in school either. And he has voiced these concerns to Mr. Cladd as well. I have text messages just so far as the beginning of July where Mr. Cladd has agreed for him to be homeschooled and to purchase his books this year. So I don't know where we're at with public school and how we got here when just a few weeks ago he told me he purchased books and he was fine with DJ being homeschooled.
I think my client disagrees with that. My client's always willing to support his child. I mean, whatever he needs. I don't think he's ever consented to the child being in homeschool. That's the biggest problem. I know that mom kind of did that with the understanding that a misconception of how he's going to be taught. But I know this homeschooling program is supposed to start on the 19th. There's no teachers. Miss Westfall is the teacher. Her boyfriend is the principal. And if this was a true, more online school, there's online teachers or something, my client could be more open to it. I know that he's concerned about the interaction with other students and teachers and having programs available for this child. And he's not getting that. And that's what he's most concerned about. Whether, again, he's willing to foot the bill for most of this stuff. It's so he's not getting updates for his education. He wants somebody accountable, giving attendance records and grades. Miss Westfall does all the grading, and she isn't. Again, there's no information to Mr. Cladd about how this child's even doing. It's just
that's false.
He wants the child.
It sounds like Mr. Cladd and Miss Westfall need to communicate and talk about what's best for their child. Mr. Talked about this.
Mr. Cladd refuses to communicate with me.
Oh, he would love to.
I have sent numerous text messages.
So hold on. Right, we're getting you need to get an attorney on board real quick, Miss Westfall. The child's been enrolled in Manor schools, and that will start the first week of September. Is that correct, Mr. Kazmarek?
Well, he had been previously enrolled in Manor, so mom unenrolled him and did a homeschooling program, which is set to start the 19th.
He can be enrolled. He can be enrolled in Manor School. That doesn't start till the first week of September. Is that correct?
We have already agreed for him to be homeschooled this year, and I have already spent close to $600 for him to be homeschooled this year.
We have to reimburse you for that. If in fact, Mrs. Westfall, get some receipts together. If in fact you purchase those supplies based upon representation agreement with Mr. Cladd to homeschool and you incurred that, no reason why you can't tutor your child in addition to the regular schooling. But there is some value in-person school, socialization with other students, extracurriculars. So the court will allow him to be enrolled in Manor Public Schools and start there the first week of September. And if you want to, can you get an attorney here before then?
Attorney is asking to adjourn this for 2 to 3 weeks so he can file.
He's not here. If I set a date, he's gonna say, well, that date's not agree with me. So I can't guess about a date, Ms. Westfall. So here's what I'm gonna do. The court's gonna, is Mr. Cladd opposed to reimbursing Ms. Westfall $600 for the education materials?
No, not at all.
All right, so provide a receipt for the education materials, Ms. Westfall, to Mr. Cladd, and he's ordered to reimburse you for the education materials that you've incurred so far. The court will also order and allow this child, because we're on the eve of we're less than a month before school begins. The child can be enrolled in Manor Public Schools, Manor schools. If in fact you disagree with this strongly, have an attorney file a motion to ask the court to reconsider, Ms. Westfall. There's no reason why you can't do both. Can't you tutor him and help along and he'd be a super student?
It's not, I'm sorry, please give me a second to collect myself. It's not tutoring him. I have a full school curriculum through a accredited homeschool facility with actual subjects laid out with actual lesson plans for each individual day. I follow a whole lesson plan for each day for each subject. It's not just me tutoring him or making up my own curriculum. It is a whole curriculum based off of accredited college out of Florida, where each subject is laid out day by day with homeschooled lesson plans that he would follow just like as if he was in public schools. The only difference is he's not being bullied. He's not being made fun of because of his autism. He's not struggling to make friends and be bullied by said friends because he acts differently or has to learn in a certain manner. I don't understand
Understood,
how
but
he
you're
can
not a
agree.
certified teacher, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're not a certified teacher.
I'm not a certified teacher, but I have taken plenty of online courses on how to deal with my autistic son.
Okay. And Mr. Kazmarek, Mr. Cladd disputes this finding of autism. Is that correct?
I don't, it just, I've never I've never been involved in any of this diagnosis of my son being on the spectrum of autism. And he was at the Arborwood School for Autistic Children. They put him into Manor because he no longer needed the teaching that it was taught in the beginning about the autism. Had he had autism, I'm assuming they would have kept him there instead of sending him to public school where he succeeded. And I have the records, the documentation from the school board. There was no reports of bullying. He succeeded the level to need an IEP teacher, and his grades were fine. He was being successful the whole year that he was in Manor. He did great, and he was able to function, get along with the children. Reports of bullying and stuff. I went to the school board. There was no files of any bullying. There was no reports of struggling with grades. He was doing fine with his report cards, and they took the IEP because he was above the level to require it, sir.
Well, Mr. Cladd, you should be involved and on top of all those evaluations. When you say you weren't really involved in them, you should be. The two of you are parents. You should know what's best for DJ, and you're making a total stranger decide what's best for your child and raise your child, which is very unfortunate.
During the pandemic,
communicate with mom and Mr. Westfall too. We need to talk. You should both be involved in the mediation session so you can work through this together. If you cannot, there'll be future issues. If you cannot agree upon school, this is the beginning of many issues. So at this point in time, Mr. Cladd, you ordered to reimburse Ms. Westfall any material costs that she has incurred, and the court will permit the child to be enrolled in Manor Public Schools, Manor School. Ms. Westfall, if you disagree with it, you want to have an attorney file a motion. And again, there's no harm in DJ starting a week or two of school if we need to change horses. But the two of you should talk, and maybe Mr. Kazmarek, if Mr. Vidal files in Paris, maybe you can schedule a mediation between with the front of the court. I'm sure the front of the court will be willing to mediate with the parents to talk through this together.
This is so unfair to DJ to be forced into school for a few weeks to be pulled out when Mr. Cladd has already, I have text messages from this year that he could be homeschooled. So why are we even going through this process?
I can't answer that question, Ms. Westfall. Mr. Cladd he owes you that explanation, but in the meantime, the court, he's going to reimburse you 100% of whatever you've incurred for educational materials. So, Mr. Cladd, you need to talk with the mother of your child. Otherwise, you're going to have problems with DJ. I'm telling you. So if you can prepare an order to that effect, Mr. Walker, this does not prejudice to Ms. Westfall. She can still have an attorney file a motion to reconsider the issue. But out of times of the essence, we can't wait. We need to make some decisions. And Mr. Cladd, if he's being bullied, you should be cognizant of that. Maybe it's best that he be homeschooled if he's being bullied and he's got autism. You should contact the people who did some of those reports.
The IEP says he has really good social skills and they get along well with other students. That's why he's confused with that assessment from mom.
That's because Mr. Cladd doesn't reach out to me. He does his own investigation and then just goes from there. He's yet to reach out to me about anything.
I'm the one that asked you about the bullying and the homeschooling.
Okay. All right, Mr. Walker, if you can prepare an order in accordance with the court's instructions, and that will conclude this hearing. Ms. Westfall, you get contact Mr. Vidal and have him file a petition with the court.
All right.
All right. That will conclude this matter.